Welcome to Columbus News Channel. Operations on the territory of Crimea are about to begin. Strong explosion sounds were heard in the area. Russian military points were attacked over the sea. Moscow took action and started keeping nuclear weapons carriers in Crimea. Intensity of mutual attacks can be increased at any time on the territory of Crimea. Around 750 Russian soldiers were neutralized during the day. Russian command points are being hit one by one. Russia's war losses are about to reach an irreparable level. Ukrainian Air Force spokesman Yuri Inat made remarkable statements regarding the attacks of Iranian-made unmanned aerial vehicles in the Dnipro region. President of Ukraine Zelensky continues to discuss new cooperation. Following Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, an important phone call was held this time with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Increasing conflicts on many fronts, especially in the last days of the war, began to carry serious losses and defeats on the Russian side. Operations launched by the Ukrainian army on the southern front are putting a lot of pressure on the Russian soldiers. Moreover, it is known that this southern front is of great importance for the countries. In fact, mutual attacks were launched again on the southern front. Since the Ukrainian army began to dominate the southern border region of Kherson, the moves towards the Crimea have also been increased. In the past weeks, it was reported that the Ukrainian army carried out reconnaissance in this region. It was reported that this discovery was for the determination of Russian military points and the launch of attacks. After a while, signals were given that operations would begin on the territory of Crimea. According to breaking news, explosions occurred in the territory of Crimea. It was claimed that Russian troops repelled these attacks. According to the statements, the armed forces of Ukraine attempted to attack Crimea. Moreover, it is estimated that this attack may have been carried out by unmanned aerial vehicles over the sea. These attacks may be carried out in order to break the defense of the Russian army in Crimea. However, it was stated that as a result of these attacks, Russian air defense systems were activated. Russia also draws attention with its different moves in this region. According to the claims of the Ukrainian Defense Intelligence representative, Russia is starting to keep nuclear weapons carriers deployed in the air, land, and sea in Crimea. It is stated that these are submarines, ships, ground systems, and aircraft that have the potential to carry out a nuclear attack. Andriy Chernyak, the representative of the Ukrainian Defense Intelligence, stated that they are monitoring the location of Russia's nuclear weapons, including tactical weapons, and they know their location. Although it is thought that Russia can do everything, it has been stated that Ukraine has started to be ready for any possible scenario. It is not yet known whether this move is an intimidation. However, if the preparations are started, the measures against all kinds of possibilities will be increased. As it is known, if Russia attempts to use such weapons, it will face many countries. This situation also does not make sense, because in the event of such an event, there will be no winning party with the introduction of risky weapons. In fact, the losses will reach an extent that cannot be compensated even more. At the same time, Russia's war losses are increasing day by day. General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine announced the losses of Russian forces on the territory of Ukraine. Ukrainian forces destroyed 1 air defense system, 6 artillery systems, 1 multiple launch rocket system, 7 armored combat vehicles, 5 tanks, 1 helicopter, 3 unmanned aerial vehicles, and 10 vehicles and tankers of Russian troops. Ukraine also announced that it neutralized 750 Russian soldiers in just one day. These losses also significantly reduce Russia's operational power on the ground. This causes the losses to increase rapidly. At the same time, the Ukrainian Defense Forces launched 4 hit attacks on clusters of Russian forces, their weapons and military equipment. Ukraine's rocket and artillery units also struck 2 command centers and 4 points where Russian forces and equipment were concentrated in one day. After all these hit areas, Russia started to panic. Moreover, it is known that Ukrainian troops carried out very accurate and powerful attacks in all areas. This is thanks to the support from the countries and the soldiers who have become more experienced for months. On the other hand, Russian troops continue their attacks. Russian forces carried out 8 air strikes and 18 attacks with multiple launch rocket systems on the territory of Ukraine. According to Ukraine's statement, it is also known that Russia's threat of air and missile attacks on critical infrastructures continues. However, since Russia could not achieve success with these attacks, it is not seen as a logical move. It is also known that it attacked many regions with Iranian-made unmanned aerial vehicles due to insufficient military equipment. In many regions, almost all of these attacks can be prevented and these kamikaze aircraft can be easily destroyed. But, allegedly, these drones are more difficult to drop in some regions, such as Dnipro. Yuri Inat, spokesman for the Ukrainian Air Force, answered the question of why the Ukrainian air defense could not shoot down the drones moving along the Dnipro River. Inat stated that Iranian-made kamikaze drones are mostly launched into the Dnipro River bed at night because it is more difficult to detect drones with radar in this way. He stated that the closer the target was to the ground, the less visible it was on radar. He stated that a target flying below the level of the radar antenna detecting the target could not be seen. However, attacks by these aircraft are not allowed on many remaining fronts. On the other hand, the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, is discussing new cooperation. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held the first phone call of the new year with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Ursula von der Leyen expressed her full support to Ukraine and stated that the European Union's assistance will continue. Zelensky also held a phone conversation with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. During the phone call, the defense cooperation between the two countries was discussed. In his statement, Zelensky stated that they agreed to intensify efforts to bring victory closer this year. He also stressed that there are concrete decisions for this. Britain had previously provided aid to Ukraine for the elimination of landmines and promised to support Ukraine. Britain also announced that it would allocate £2.3 billion for aid to Ukraine in 2023. Ukraine has become even stronger with the support of Western countries. It seems that this support will continue in the new year as well. Zelensky also had a telephone conversation with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. In this phone call, Zelensky explained that he briefed Rutte about the defense needs regarding the risks and possible difficulties of escalation at the front. He also made a statement on taking concrete steps to maximize the reinforcement of Ukraine. Dutch Prime Minister also stated that Ukraine has resisted Russian aggression for a year. Rutte stated that the coming months are very important for Ukraine, and that the Netherlands promised to do everything so that Ukraine not only resists, but wins the war. Providing all kinds of military support from such countries greatly affects the course of the war. For this, the promises of support given by the countries for the steps to be taken must be kept as soon as possible. In the long run, what will determine the war will be the steps taken and the decisions made by the countries regarding the war. However, the most important thing is to determine them in a strategic direction. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.